Total War Warhammer 2 is a gorgeous strategy game built in the setting of Warhammer fantasy. It's known for massive battles, impressive visuals, long load times, and complex but engrossing gameplay that can keep you playing for hours, and hours, and hours. At your request, we're taking Total War Warhammer 2 for a spin on Shadow. With Total War Warhammer 3 right around the corner, we'll be able to see how well Shadow can manage its predecessor. I'm a little quick, and I'm not going easy on Shadow today. The settings are all the way up to Ultra before we run the benchmark. As Shadow makes the rounds through the battle benchmark, take some time to subscribe if you want the latest cloud gaming news, gameplay tips, and comparisons here at Cloud Gaming Battle. As the benchmark progresses, you can see that the FPS peaks at 70 and falls as low as 37 throughout the battle. It's not the best, but it's definitely playable. Load times are still an issue, as this benchmark took 42 seconds to load from clicking the start button to seeing the battlefield in motion. Even so, the Ultra settings look great. The number of models animating and moving on screen is impressive, and the level of detail on each is one of the reasons I love watching this game in addition to playing it. If FPS bothers you more than lack of detail, you can easily increase your FPS by lowering the game settings. In the end, Shadow isn't perfect, but it's pretty freaking awesome nonetheless. You're still going to have a good time playing, but I recommend tweaking the settings towards your preference in visuals. There are two more benchmarks available: the Campaign benchmark, which renders the world map in all its glory, and the Skaven benchmark, which shows more units and more particle effects in a hectic, overpopulated battle. The Campaign benchmark runs exceptionally long, so I'm going to turn the speed up to double just to get through it a bit quicker. The Campaign benchmark is similar to the battle one in results. Disregarding the spike at the very beginning of the video, it maintains 38 to 70 FPS throughout, as the camera loops and pans throughout the lands of Warhammer Fantasy. Nothing overtly surprising or time-specific happens in the overworld map, and to be honest, these FPS decreases aren't a big deal while traversing the world before getting into battle. The Skaven benchmark didn't fare so well, dropping to the mid-20s for a significant portion of the simulation, even into the teens at the end when all hell was breaking loose. In addition to slowdown caused by sheer unit numbers, the game uses a collision and physics engine that can slow down play with a lot of unit entities bashing into each other, whether it's with aggressive actions that include knockback like with the Carnosaurs here, or simply friendly units pushing past one another to go where they need to. For those of you familiar with the massive and ridiculous battles in Total War Warhammer 2, the FPS slowdown is all too common, unless you have an absolute beast of a gaming PC, especially when dealing with armies composed of horde units such as Skaven, goblins, or skeletons. You can also see that I'm using the blood setting, which is not available by default in the Total War Warhammer franchise, and it also adds stress to the graphics engine. But how does it play? As expected, menus, campaign map, and basic features handle with ease. Nothing is any different than playing locally. Battles also play well. Control comes easy, and it's easy to forget that I'm playing on Shadow instead of on a local high-powered PC. Tearing through some Druchii invaders for defiling the sacred forest of the Everqueen plays just as it should. You will notice, however, that in this battle, FPS is dropping closer to 20. Seems that though the benchmarks look cool, they aren't fully representative of early game battles, even if they're between less populous factions like the High Elves and the Dark Elves. Load times again feel long, but that's a common problem on local PCs as well. Total War is specifically installed on my SSD drive at home because of this fact. SSD drives and cloud storage are rare, though some services do provide it. It's definitely a desired perk with Total War and its infamous load times. Let's just put this up there while it finishes. Finally, I wanted to hop into a multiplayer session with one of the cloud gaming warriors. We hopped into a co-op game. He was playing from Boosteroid for a bit of crossplay. As he's new to the game, I advised him to try out Tyrion's Attain faction. Multiplayer map control went smoothly and again felt responsive and perfect. We had no connection issues between our cloud services or one another throughout our several hours of play, as he learned the ropes. I appreciate that the sessions were going along with no decrease in quality. While he was trying his hand wielding the armies of the Asur against their hated Druchii rivals, I took this opportunity to drive the camera up close for some excellent action shots. FPS in this scenario was keeping around the 50 mark, but dipping as low as 35 at times. Throughout all of this, the detail is on point. In the end, Shadow is viable and fun. Total War Warhammer 2 is a challenging game to run with any settings, but on Ultra, it's a real beast. If playing on Shadow, you're going to be able to cross-play with no issues. You'll have no trouble with controls at all, and the game will be playable in the highest settings. However, if you want maximum FPS at all times, you might want to drop the game detail or play with a smaller unit size. Less stress on your GPU is going to get you more FPS. Oh look, it's finally done loading. As for Total War Warhammer 3, I suspect Shadow will run it on a similar level. The franchise has looked more impressive with each entry, but Creative Assembly has also been improving their efficiency with their code as well. If you plan on using Shadow to play the next game in the franchise, I think you'll be just fine. I won't know till I try it, and expect that video shortly after launch. For the latest news, tips, gameplay, and comparisons on cloud gaming, including Shadow, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned here to the only place you can do battle in gaming heaven, Cloud Gaming Battle. Little Quick, signing out.